This is why you should never buy from a puppy farm or a backyard breeder or a dodgy breeder, or call it whatever you want, wherever you are in the world. This story is truly going to shock you. The guy in question here is called Sam the Dogman on TikTok, at the Dog Family. To paint a bit of a picture for you, the guy has almost 200,000 followers and millions of views. He's a bit of an extreme case, but I think you are going to learn something here. The whole story is unmissable. The guy has reach, has influence, and hundreds of comments and likes and reposts and stitches where you reply to people whenever you do a video. And the guy here has XL bullies. He has staffies, toy poodles, pocket bullies, which is the really short, stocky, really horrible looking XL bully, dachshunds, Frenchies, very weird colours, different eyes. I mean, he's the true definition of a backyard breeder. The XL bullies here in the UK have been banned, and it is because a lot of these people have no ethics whatsoever whenever it comes to breeding them, and they use them as weapons instead of using them as dogs. But anyway, he has this account on TikTok where he's showing the dogs, he's showing the pens, the mums, his dogs lives with him, and the space, you can see it's quite small. He has pens for the dogs that are, in my opinion, quite restricted. He lives in a house, in a regular house, and has not hundreds, but like tens of dogs there. Dogs come and go all the time. He's breeding puppies. He is selling puppies. He is the definition of a puppy farm, you know. Sam is, to put it mildly, rough, very rough around the edges, and you can go on his content and you can try to understand him if you are not from the UK, and I bet you'll have a bit of a weird time doing so. The crux of the story is that he just appeared to be a bit around the edges, a bit rough around the edges rather, and he was just breeding dogs and creating content around the dogs, and the dogs have now been neutered, and now the dogs are eating their tea, and now their dogs are doing this, and now their dogs are doing that. And so what are the dogs doing? It was a bit of a platform for him, and he was just showcasing the world what he was doing, giving his opinion on different breeds, just like the pocket bullies, the XL bullies, and always weird colours. The eyes are weird colours as well for the dogs. You can see the welfare is not the best for the dogs, but you can't really see all that much whenever it comes to his online persona, because you want to portray yourself in the best light as possible, obviously. But anyway, he had an argument with, I believe, his ex-girlfriend, and she released some of these texts that I'm going to read out to you, and some of these things are extremely nasty and really harmful. So he says, "F your scruffy little rat dog, she just got walled." So he hit the dog. "Every dog has eaten the worming tablet, but she's refusing. So I kicked your effing dog, the little rat. Frank peed all over my foot. I wouldn't take his, so he got it esky. Wouldn't take hers. I'm gonna lose my effing S. He's calling the dogs effing rats. I mean, this is a guy who's been clearly hitting the dogs, not treating the dogs properly. Not only hitting the dogs, but if you are admitting to hitting a dog and hitting dogs on a regular basis for something as inane as not taking a tablet, a worming tablet or whatever, God knows what you are doing behind people's backs, you know, when you are in the comfort of your own home and in your own puppy farm. So he then posted on social media and calling himself into a police station where he's like recording everything. I mean, you get the picture. The whole thing is a bit of a shambles, really. Then he's crying, apologizing, pleading not to hit dogs again, etc, etc. So the case is a bit weird. The case is really sad, and in reality, there isn't that much you can do from a governmental standpoint. So the police have better things to worry about than backyard breeders. The RSPCA cannot control private property. It's a weird sort of thing because these things take a lot of time. But these are some things you can do whenever it comes to stopping this sort of thing. The first thing is stop buying stupid breeds. I mean, pocket bullies and XL bullies and fluffy Frenchies and all these designer breeds, they have respiratory problems, cardiovascular problems, hip problems, allergies, inherent allergies. They are a bundle of potential downside, and they are sometimes just a recipe for disaster. The amount of people that come into our branches with like designer breeds, like Frenchies, for example, extreme Frenchies from not so desirable breeders, and they have so many problems, so many allergies, so many intolerances, they can't breathe properly, etc, etc. So the first thing is stop buying stupid breeds. The second point I want to raise is do your research and do it properly, because obviously Sam has a lot of reach, and every time he posts something he gets hundreds of comments and he gets a lot of people liking and he will get a lot of people trying to buy off of him, etc, etc. But do your research properly. Try to, if you are going to buy a dog from a breeder, go 2 or 3 times, see the living conditions of the dogs, see how they are all handled, see whether the guy has a top on, for starters, see whether the guy is clean, for starters, see if the pens are clean, see if what food the guy or the girl is providing the dogs with. That will tell you a lot about the breeder and how they handle their business. Another point would be to ask for papers and medicals, obviously, and hip scores. Have you taken these dogs and puppies to the vet? Have you provided enough nourishment to these dogs? If they fall ill, if they become ill, what are you going to do? Do you have plans with vets? Do you partner with vets? Because a lot of these puppy farms, they have zero standards of welfare and well-being for their dogs. And someone who calls their dogs an effing rat, and I've just hit the dog and the dog's not eating the effing tablet, this, that, whatever. It's really, really sad to see, because I don't think this is going to stop, folks. I don't think this stops. It doesn't stop. How does it stop? It stops from us, the receiving consumer. Stop buying these designer breeds. These designer breeds aren't very good at all. They are horrible. It's not that the dogs are inherently horrible. Like, XL bullies are lovely. I've seen a few XL bullies and they are lovely. But the people who buy them are just the bottom of the barrel of society sometimes. And I don't want that for the dog, because the dog is going to potentially be used as a weapon and trained as a weapon, and then attack someone, and that dog is going to be put to sleep, when the person who should be prosecuted would be the owner, because they want the dog for the wrong reasons. So stop buying stupid dogs from backyard breeders and people like Sam, because at the end of the day, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. I heard one of his videos that he didn't have enough money to feed the dogs properly. He ideally wanted to put the dogs on a raw diet, but didn't have the money. If you don't have the money to put dogs on a raw diet, maybe instead of having dozens of dogs or hundreds of dogs over 6 months, maybe have 5 dogs and then you can feed them better. But the money is too good. The money is too good. I know a few breeders that come into our branches, and some of them are completely stupid and horrible, but you can't really say anything, because what are you going to say? All you can do is aggravate the whole thing. But some of them, I know for a fact that don't feed the dogs very well, and they just don't treat the dogs very well. And we are all about teaching people what to do. So it's a bit of a tough one. It is really incumbent upon us to identify these pockets in dog breeders and certain dog breeds, and put a stop to it and put an end to it. So what Sam needs to do, and he's not going to do it, would be to cut back down on the amount of puppies he sells, which again is very, very lucrative. I mean, we are talking about maybe 20 grand per litter. I'll tell you a bit about how it works. If you are going to, say, have a litter of 10, you have a mum litter of 10, and then you sell them, and then you are going to sell them maybe for 2 grand each. Let's say it's a designer breed. £2,000, you then have to add cost to that £2,000. So we have 10, that's £20,000. Let's say you take the dogs to the vet to get all the medical tests. Let's say we get some tablets or treatments or whatever the case might be, and that might cost you £1,000 or £2,000. Then you have to put the HIPS course maybe that you have performed on the mum and dad. Maybe you have checked the breed lines. Maybe you have checked this. Maybe you have checked that. And you have done everything by the book. You might be £5,000 down. Now, you have to add the cost of your time being there for 6 months or whatever. You have to add the costs of food, and food is expensive. Good dog food is expensive. And so maybe by the time you have done everything by the book, you have made maybe £5,000 or $5,000 or $3,000. But if you start cutting corners, that $5,000 or £5,000 is now £13,000 or £15,000, depending on how much you cut from animal welfare. And that's extremely sad, but really, really prevalent. And it's how a lot of people run their puppy farms or breed puppies, because they don't really have this concept of the dog comes first and everything else comes second. No, money and profit comes first, and if you can churn out 2 or 3 litters every other month, then 15 grand per litter, it's a lot of money. It gets to a lot of money very, very quickly. So no wonder this thing is so lucrative. But what you should do is, again, stop buying stupid dog breeds. And anyone who portrays themselves like this on social media, I mean, imagine turning up to a dog breeder's house and the guy doesn't have a top on and has a whatever. It screams weird. It screams not legitimate. It screams zero welfare. It screams everything wrong to do with a corner of society and the dog breeding world that we do not want to associate ourselves with. Please let me know whether you have any stories, any weird stories. Maybe you have any suggestions for how to implement this. Maybe you are a breeder yourself and you disagree with me in one of the 2 points that I have raised here. Please let me know. I'm always happy to engage with everyone. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.